Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Erwin R. Vencilio, and I am here to talk about the teacher as the curriculum implementer and manager. So for our learning outcomes, explain the process of curriculum implementation, determine the components of a lesson plan and their alignment with each other, recognize the role of technology in curriculum implementation, and identify the stakeholders and their roles in the implementation of the curriculum. For our lesson outline, so these are the topics. Implementing the curriculum as a change process, implementing a curriculum daily in the classroom, the role of technology in delivering the curriculum, and stakeholders in the curriculum implementation. So as you can notice here, it's all about the main topic, which is the teacher as the curriculum implementer and manager. So let us now proceed to the first one, implementing the design curriculum as a change process. So last time, I was able to discuss about the teacher as a curriculum designer, wherein um, the teacher can design the curriculum as well, including the lesson plan. And this time, we will be talking about how the teachers will implement this plan or the design. So curriculum implementation implies shift from what is current to a new or enhanced curriculum. So meaning to say that whenever we implement curriculum, there could be some changes from the current curriculum that you are following to a better or new or enhanced curriculum. So what's the difference between new or enhanced? When we speak of new, it is a total revision of the curriculum. If it is enhanced, the old curriculum will be enhanced. It could be partially enhanced or it could be completely enhanced. Meaning it's for the betterment of the curriculum. Instead of replacing it with a new one, it will just be enhanced. Change in knowledge, actions, attitudes of the persons involved. So who are the persons involved in the curriculum implementation? So we have the main clients, which are the learners or the students. So at the end or even during the curriculum implementation, you will be able to notice some changes in the knowledge, or there will be changes in the knowledge of the learners as well as their actions and attitudes. So for example, your topic is about a certain mathematical operation. So you can expect your students to learn this via curriculum implementation. So there could also be changes in the action. They can be able to dance now, no, after the lesson, or they can be able to play certain sports after the lesson, or during the implementation of the curriculum. And there will also be changes in the attitudes of your learners as they experience the way you will implement the curriculum based on the design and plans that you have made prior to the implementation. So there could also be change in behavior using strategies and resources. So part of the changes that the learners may experience is not only about the knowledge, the actions or attitudes, but also the change in behavior as you apply new strategies and resources. So these new strategies could be the innovative ones, the ones that are applicable to the 21st century learners, as well as the modern resources. Change in behavior, change which requires efforts, hence goals should be achievable. So part of the curriculum implementation is to set learning outcomes or goals which should be attained at the end of the curriculum implementation. So that means that these changes requires effort. So meaning that there should be effort coming from the learners in order for them to learn the outcome or the learning outcomes that you would like them would like them to attain or to achieve. So this is the Kurt Levin's force field theory and curriculum change. So in every curriculum change, there could be driving force and restraining force. So what is this driving force? So this is the one that amplify or fuel the changes in the curriculum. On the other hand, the restraining forces are those that serve as hindrance for any change in the curriculum. So let us look, for example, K-12 curriculum. So in the Philippines, during the implementation of the K-12 curriculum, there are these driving forces and restraining forces. So, for example, as one of the driving force there is the government intervention. So, by the virtue of the Republic Act signed by the President, um, by then President Benigno Aquino III, as proposed by legislators with the help of the Secretary of the Department of Education, Brother Armin Luistro, during the time. No, so these are government intervention. So they are the ones who made or who crafted the law and approved. Thus, the driving force there is the government intervention. So the government noticed that the current curriculum back then is no longer applicable to the modern education um, here here in the modern time. So, meaning to say that the old curriculum is no longer applicable. So the government did something so that we can be able to adjust to it. So that's the one of the driving forces. So government intervention. So since they are the ones who made it, so they are also the ones who will implement it. Another one is society's values. So what are the society's values? So here in the Philippines, one of the things that we can say that it is really our virtue or our value is for us to work hard, no, or for us to elevate the kind of life that we have, or the term is pagsisikap, pagtsatsaga, pagiging mapagtyaga. So this society's values. No, now these things as you implement the curriculum changes could serve as driving force, no. For example, during the implementation of the K-12 curriculum, though others may say that the additional 2 years in the senior high school are not are not are not part of the development of their children, or may not serve as a tool for them to finish college earlier. So, however, as the government implement this, the society's values help the government to accept these changes in the curriculum. Upon the explanation of the government, parents and students were able to realize the importance of having a quality education and not just simply finishing it up. Another one is technological changes. The COVID-19 pandemic brought about a lot of changes in the educational fields, and one of the driving force for us to continue is the technological changes. So since then, we are conducting online classes or even asynchronous and synchronous classes, with the help of the technology. Another is knowledge explosion. So, meaning accumulation of knowledge that may be needed during the curriculum change, or that may be shared during the implementation of the new curriculum. And another one is administrative support. So, it could be the support of the principal, of those who are serving in the local Department of Education or the schools division office. Now, on the other hand, there are also restraining forces. So these are the forces that can serve as hindrance for the driving force that will help in the curriculum change. So what are these? So fear of the unknown. So during the interview, way back then, before the implementation of the K-12 curriculum, so a lot of parents are clamoring that no, we do not need senior high, we do not need K-12. We, we would like our children to finish high school as early as possible for them to be able to enter college and finish it also as early as possible so that they can help us in our daily life. So, um, on the other hand, they do not know what will be the outcome. No, so that's why others may say way back then they don't want it. No, simply because they do not know what lies ahead or beyond the implementation of the senior high school. So that's why there is the fear of the unknown. Another is negative attitude to change. So there are a lot of people who do not want change. So if these particular people will just be sitting around the whole day and they will say, no, I do not want that. We were able to finish our studies with the help of the old curriculum, so it can still be used. So that's negative attitude to change. These are the people who may no who possess negative attitude about changes. And though on driving force is that their society's value, there are also restraining forces for the tradition values. And of course, there are also limited resources. So if you have limited resources, it is difficult to implement the changes in the curriculum. And in connection also to that is the obsolete equipment. So though there are a lot of equipment that we have in our different laboratories, no, especially during the start of the senior high school implementation, there are a lot of TLE or TBL rooms or equipment, science laboratories. But one of the things that may also serve as a restraining force are the obsolete equipment. No, so these are equipment that are no longer in use, that cannot be used since it is already obsolete. Now, when both of this, the driving force and the restraining force, are of equal number or equal way, equal weight, so there will be equilibrium. So this is the middle wherein there's no driving force that is moving forward, and there's also no restraining force that is moving backward. So it is just an equilibrium. All right, there you go. So these are the categories of curriculum change. One is substitution, alteration, restructuring, perturbation, value orientation, and yeah, substitution, alteration, restructuring, perturbation, and value orientation. So let me look into this. So the current curriculum will be replaced or substituted by a new one. Sometimes we call this a complete overhaul. Or for example, there will be a replacement in the books. No, so it's not only merely revision of the certain part of the book, but the entire book will be replaced by a new one. So that is substitution. So it is the entire curriculum will be changed. So book is a curriculum, and the entire book will be replaced by a new one. So that is known as substitution. On the other hand, we also have alteration. So there is a minor change to the current or existing curriculum. So for example, instead of using a graphing paper for mathematics teaching, this can be altered by using a graphing calculator. So meaning that you have your plan, and then there is this alternative ways on presenting that. So for example, you will be discussing using, let's say, a laptop and then an LCD projector, no? Since you will be presenting something to the screen to your class. Now, unfortunately, there's no LCD projector in your laptop that should be used during the meeting is already lobat and you forgot to charge it, no? So you have to look into what will be the possible way in which you can present your topic. So that is alteration. Okay, so partial or minor change will be implemented. Another is restructuring. Building a new structure would mean major change in the modification of the school system, degree program, or educational system. So using the in-school, off-school, or a blended curriculum is an example of restructuring. So just like what we have done in all parts of the world when it comes with the education of learners amidst COVID-19 pandemic. So there are a lot of changes that were done. Classes were restructured into online classes or into modular classes that later on became online class and then became blended classroom. Another is perturbation. So these are the changes that are disruptive, but the teachers have to adjust for them to within a fairly short time. So for example, the the teacher is already prepared for a class, then suddenly the principal asks her to come to the office for some meeting. No, so there is a big change. And in this particular example, the teacher has to modify some parts of the lesson for the students to learn something even if the teacher is busy in the principal's office doing some paperwork. So something like that. And then of course, the last one is value orientation. So there should be value integration in the implementation of the curriculum. Okay, so these are the three important elements of curriculum implementation. One is developmental, participatory, and then supportive. So let us discuss a bit what is developmental, what is participatory, and what is supportive. So when we speak of developmental, it should be developmental in the sense that it should develop multiple perspectives, increase integration, and make learning autonomous, create a climate of openness and trust. There should be teacher support in trying new tasks, reflection on the new experiences and challenge. So that's why it is developmental. There will be support coming from the teachers. There should always be support coming from the different resources that are needed for the implementation of the curriculum. So developmental because students are participative, and likewise the teacher prepares all those that are essential in the curriculum implementation. Now, on the other hand, it is also participatory, no? So for curriculum implementation to succeed, it should be participatory, especially because other stakeholders like peers, school leaders, parents, and curriculum specialists are necessary. So when we speak of participatory during the curriculum implementation, so you as their teacher is not alone. So there are stakeholders that can help in the implementation of the curriculum. So for example, you meet up the LGU, the barangay captain, the kagawad, the tanod, or to the municipal hall or city hall. So those people in there or other private individuals, no? So that's why it is participatory because stakeholders participate in all the plans and implementation of these plans for all the school. So that's part of what we call as community of stakeholders. Another is supportive uh, element. So supportive elements is the facilities, fixtures, no, equipment and materials that are needed during the curriculum implementation. So uh, That's why the term is supportive. It gives support, no, it gives justice to the uh, discussion or to the topic given. So let us now look into implementing a curriculum daily in the classroom. So in the implementation of a curriculum daily in the classroom, you might think that it is the lesson plan, and then of course you're right because that's the design that you made, no, and it has to be implemented during the actual teaching and learning processes. Okay, so these are the main parts of the lesson plan: objectives or intended learning outcomes, the subject matter, procedure or strategies of teaching, assessment of learning outcomes, and assignment. Now, these very basic parts of the lesson plan, and others may other institution might have different parts of the lesson plan, but basically these are the five important parts of the lesson plan. Now, of course, when we speak of the objectives or the intended learning outcomes, it has to come from the curriculum guide. And then the subject matter will also come from the curriculum guide since it is already given by the DepEd. No? Although if it is a private school, they have the leeway in order to develop a better curriculum guide. Of course, there should be subject matter there, so that depends on the objectives or intended learning outcomes. And then you have procedure or strategies of teaching, assessment of learning outcomes, and then the assignment. So the subject matter will also come based on the objectives. And then the procedure or strategies of teaching should be based on the objectives that you have just presented. And then the assessment of learning outcomes will first will determine whether the students have learned the lesson or not. So that's why it is assessment of learning outcomes and not assessment of the teacher, okay, or anyone, no. So this is about the learning outcomes that are shown by the students. And of course, part of it is the assignment. Assignment is better than uh, uh, assignment. In assignment, you should assign topics that are connected to the current lesson and not a future research for the next lesson, if possible. So these are the intended learning outcomes. So you'll see here that these are the basis of creating the objectives. So we have Bloom's taxonomy done by Bloom in 1956, and then it was revised by Anderson and Cratwell in 2011. So for Bloom's taxonomy, it has from the bottom part is the knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. For the our, our revised Bloom's taxonomy or RBT, remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So there are changes also even in the way you spell it. No, so that this one, the revised Bloom's, ends with ing. Meanwhile, on the Bloom's taxonomy, it is as is. All right. So these are the level of knowledge that can be tested among your students, or even you yourself can be able to assess whether what level of knowledge do you possess. One is factual knowledge. Factual knowledge is your knowledge about ideas, specific data, or information. So just like, for example, part of the factual knowledge is that you know your birthday, or you know your cell phone number, so something like that. So because it talks about ideas, specific data, or information. So another is conceptual knowledge. Words or ideas known by common name, common features, multiple specific examples which may either be concrete or abstract. So concepts are facts that interrelate with each other to function together. So that's why if you have, let's say you have two topics or you have two definition, so you make sure that when you if you can connect no each of the topics no with each other, then you have this conceptual knowledge. Another is procedural knowledge. So this is the step-by-step procedure. So how things work, step-by-step actions, methods of inquiry. So for example, no, can you be able to write the recipe, no, of your meal this morning or this afternoon or this evening? So that's procedural knowledge. And then you also have metacognitive knowledge. So knowledge of cognition, in general, awareness of knowledge of one's own cognition, thinking about thinking. So that's the last level of knowledge, which is the metacognitive knowledge. So let's talk about subject matter or content. So comes from a body of knowledge. It is the what in teaching. Yeah, it is the what in teaching because what are you going to teach? What is your topic? What is your grade level? So that is the what in teaching, the subject matter or content. And then for procedure, methods, and strategies, you may use this one. It's the main feature of curriculum implementation. Should consider a lot of factors like teaching methods, teaching style, learning style, and others. So at the end of the day, at the end of the story, uh, teachers should be the one to adjust to the teaching style, to the learning style of the learners. If the learners can learn by singing a song or by role playing, then you give them activities that will touch the those things that they would like to do or the teaching style or well, at the bottom of it is you have to match the learning style with your teaching style. So for example, if the learning style of the students is they would like to sing and dance, then when you teach them, it should tap the learning style that they have. And it should be supported by instructional materials. Yes. Now for the approaches and methods, these are those direct demonstration methods. So these are the different ways in which we can implement, no? Though there are a lot of things that you should consider. Cooperative learning approaches, deductive or inductive approaches, and other approaches. So direct demonstration, for example, you are performing a certain complicated laboratory experiment, then the students may not be allowed to do it on their own because of the the danger it may pose to them. So you can do direct demonstration method. No, so you will be experimenting in front of the class. It could be somebody will take a video of you and it will be sent to the LMS of the students. No, but generally, direct demonstration would mean that the teacher is the one who will be doing that. The next one is cooperative learning approaches. I like the groupings, no, anything that has something to do with collaborative effort or cooperative effort of those members. Then deductive or inductive approaches. So deductive is general to specific. Inductive is specific to general approaches. So there could be certain topics that will be given to you, and then you have to deduce it, you know, from general topic or general concept to the specific concept that you can be able to produce. And of course, these are the learning styles of your students that wherein you have to match them. No, so visual, those that can learn by their eyes. Auditory, those that can learn only by audio. Kinesthetic, social, solitary, logical, mathematical, and naturalist. So it doesn't mean that you are a science major um, or you like science, no? So automatically you will become naturalist. So there are still bases for you to tell whether you are visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and so on. Now, for the learning assessment of learning outcomes, the rule of thumb is what has been taught should be measured to find out if the intended outcome set at the beginning has been achieved. So, meaning to say, whatever your activities are, whatever your intended learning outcomes are, make sure that at the end of the assessment of learning outcomes, so they have this score, a passing score, so that you can be able to tell that they have learned something. So that ends our second topic. So let us now proceed to the third topic. Okay, so let us talk about the role of technology in delivering the curriculum. So technology, as stated, plays a crucial role in the delivery of instruction. So especially in our fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, as the health department fight the virus. So as the saying goes that education must continue, the technology aids in the delivery of the instruction uh, amidst COVID-19 pandemic. So it offers various tools of learning, and these are the category of or classification of technology. So we have non-projected media and projected media. Though some of these are already obsolete, meaning that they are no longer being used in the classroom. So we have, for non-projected media, we have the real objects. So for example, your topics about plants and you brought plants in your classroom and show it to your students. So that's real objects, models, like for example, cell model, a model of the parts of the human body, field trips, kits, printed materials like books, worksheets, visuals like drawings, photographs, charts, graphs, and as simple as visual boards like the one that we usually use, like the chalkboard and the whiteboard, and audio or any audio materials. Now, when we speak of projected media, so something that we can be able to see and being projected by a certain uh, technology. Overhead transparencies, opaque projection, slides, film strips, films, video, computer, multimedia presentation, and the LCD projector. So these are the factors in technology selection. So for example, you'll be using technology in your class. So these are the factors that will aid you in selecting one. So one is practicality. So you make sure that it is practical. You will no longer spend a lot of money in using such. Appropriateness in relation to the learner. So meaning to say na it it is not necessary that you have to use complicated technologies. That's complicated technology just to prove that you are very good in using technology. So you make sure that the technology that you will be using is appropriate to the learners and appropriate to the lessons that you will be discussing. So for example, the use of PowerPoint and LCD projector. No, so make sure that the PowerPoint is necessary. You make sure that the projector is necessary. Activity and suitability. So is the technology that you will be using applicable to the activities that you will be giving to your students, or is it suitable to the activity? Objective matching. So make sure that the technology that you will be using matches the statement of the objectives presented during the beginning of the lesson. So these are the roles of educational technology. One, upgrading the quality of teaching and learning in a school. So Imagine a school without any technology, or if they are using technology, this might be the primitive ones. So it upgrades the quality, increasing the capability of the teacher to effectively inculcate learning and for students to gain mastery of lessons and courses. So as we all know that the learners nowadays are very much into gadgets and technology. So you make sure that you take advantage uh, of such moves among the students. So they are really fan of Mobile Legends, no, and other mobile games. So why not use the same concept in teaching? So something like that. So broadening the delivery of education outside the schools through the non-traditional approaches to formal and informal learning, such as open universities and lifelong learning to adult learners. So in the COVID-19 pandemic, no, so there's no face-to-face. So we are using alternative ways in delivering such. So thus we use technology. We use, for example, online platform. We use uh, different GCs in the social media and uh, other things. Revolutionizing the use of technology to boost educational paradigm shifts that give importance to student-centered and holistic learning. So let us now look into the stakeholders in curriculum implementation. So who are the stakeholders? So stakeholders are the different personalities, different persons that affect the education of the learners. So it could be an internal stakeholder, those that are in the school, or an external stakeholder, those that are found in the outside the school. So we have to remember that the saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So raising a child or educating our learners is not the sole responsibility of the teachers or the sole responsibility of the school. It must be a combined effort among all the stakeholders in the community so that the curriculum can be implemented. Okay? So these are curriculum stakeholders. Learners are at the core of the curriculum. So learners are also stakeholders, but they are at the core of the curriculums since they are the clients. So they are the end receiver the of all the plans of all the actions implemented. So that's why they are at the core. The absence of the learners, how can we implement curriculum? How can we improve the curriculum based on those implementation? So teachers are curricularists. During the beginning of this subject, you have learned that the different roles of teachers as curricularists. School leaders are curriculum managers. So school leaders are the principals, the head teacher, and other school leaders, no, that manages the curriculum. So they are the ones managing it. No, if there are changes, it will be incorporated in the curriculum, and then it will be implemented by the teachers. And then of course parents, no. So especially now in the COVID-19 pandemic in the field of education, so there is a big role being done by parents, especially those parents whose learners or children are still in the elementary level, wherein it needs a lot of supervision in the answering of the module. Community as the curriculum resources and learning environment. So, for example, your topic is about DRRM, no, disaster readiness and risk management. So why not invite somebody from the barangay or the city hall or municipal hall, no, that can help you discuss the topic. So you may invite the DRRM coordinator of the division of the city, or anyone or any expert that may be that is qualified to discuss the topic, no. So that serve as curriculum resources. Okay, so the entire community could serve as curriculum resources. and as well as learning environment. So that's why before the pandemic, so even simple park, no, are being it could serve as the location for learning environment. Okay. So other stakeholders in curriculum implementation and development. So other personalities that were not mentioned from the prior discussion will fall under the other stakeholders that aid in the implementation of the curriculum and development. So references or reference. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video tutorial. I hope to see you again.